Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the February 18th, 2025 meeting, Town of Grand Falls, Windsor Council. First, I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll look for a motion for the approval of the agenda. Councillor Noel, seconded by Councillor Hiscock. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. We do have several proclamations to go through tonight. Lots of important things going on and recognitions. So we might as well get right to the most important first, all the scouts. All the scouts are here with us because it's Scout and Guide Week, sorry. Scout Guide Week is coming up, or we're in the midst of it actually, so they were here earlier, along with a lot more, who helped us raise the flag outside, proudly, and now they're nice enough to come back again and join us for the proclamation. So, Mr. Gardner, if you don't mind getting your troops there to follow you up front here. Come on over. Come on over. Spread great, Eddie. How you doing? Good, right there, yeah. Make sure everybody can come up so we can see you. All right. We got everybody? Well, welcome. I know there was a huge crowd outside. It just speaks to the Scout and Guide organization here in Grand Falls, Windsor. It's been going on for decades, as we said, and such an important organization and important for young people. And we see some of the Scout and Guides here tonight, which is nice to see. Jerry, I don't know if you have any words or if there's a spokesperson or something who would like to say.
I'm shy.
Okay.
I let the youth speak for us.
Yeah, well, I'll give the youth an opportunity if anybody wants to have a word about your Scout Guide experience, or you don't have to, but everybody's afraid. That's okay.
So I will speak then, see no one else will. Scouting and guiding is over 100 years old, and in our town we have over 150 youth involved in the program. It is an amazing program. It's youth-led. I tell everyone the youth are who tell us what to do, and people look at me and go, really? And it's true. They make the plan, we make sure it happens.
Same as home.
Same as home, yeah. At home I got a wife that tells me that, but other than that, no, it's a great organization. I'm sure many of you were a part of it at some point over the years. It is even bigger now than it used to be, believe it or not. And in this town, it's been growing. When you come out on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night and you see, 40 or 50 youth at any given time running around and in the woods and looking at them, you're teaching them life skills. And it's stuff that we're teaching them to be better citizens. And hopefully one day we'll see some of them sitting in these seats.
Yeah, we could very well, and hopefully so. And we do get good experience, certainly, at the Scout Guides. And I know some of our locals have gone on trips into Europe and beyond, and more trips planned, I think, in the future. So the experience is right from the big ones to your camping, your life skills, all the games and that you play together, the friends you make. It's such a good experience for everybody, and I hope you enjoy it to the fullest. And we're going to sit down now, I am anyway, and I'm going to read your proclamation for the week, okay? So we can recognize the Scouts and Guides in Grand Falls, Windsor, especially. Proclamation for Scout and Guide Week, February 16th to February 22nd, 2025, whereas the Town of Grand Falls, Windsor takes the opportunity to recognize Scout and Guide Week, which will take place from February 16th to the 22nd. Whereas it's also an opportunity for the public to recognize the limitless potential of Canadian youth and the work that both scouting and guiding does to help better build a world for our nation's future leaders. Whereas scouting and guiding instills values of leadership, honor, and teamwork through many exciting outdoor programs they provide for children and youth nationwide. Whereas these programs are developed and maintained by energetic and dedicated volunteers who give selflessly of their time and deserve our wholehearted praise and thanks. Whereas for so many Canadians, adventure, teamwork, good citizenship, and memories of camp all started with Scouts and Guides. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Barry Emanuel, on behalf of the Town of Grand Falls, Windsor, wish both Scout and guides continued success for a strong and vibrant future. And we will post one of these in our main lobby for people to see, and we were going to give you guys, maybe you could take it on behalf of the group, hey? Would you mind? Yes, sure. You can paste that wherever you want so you can show off to the Scout and Guide Week. Okay? Good job. All right, thanks again for coming down. We really appreciate it. Enjoy your week, and of course, Robin got to get a picture. Yeah. Sorry. All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll give those folks a moment to vacate the premises, unless they want to stay. They're more than welcome to. Pardon me? Yep. Okay, we will move on with the second proclamation, and this one is for Amyloidosis Awareness Month, which is March 2025. Where Amyloidosis Awareness Week is a month dedicated to raising awareness, funding research, and supporting those living with amyloidosis and their loved ones. And whereas amyloidosis is a group of diseases that occurs when abnormal protein, known as amyloid, builds up in the tissues and organs of the body. Left untreated, the disease can result in organ failure and can be fatal. And whereas amyloidosis can mimic the signs and symptoms of more common medical conditions, and the disease can be challenging to diagnose. And whereas amyloidosis often affects people who are older or middle-aged, however, younger people have been diagnosed with this disease. And whereas some of the signs and symptoms of amyloidosis can include shortness of breath, weight loss, fatigue, swelling in the ankles and legs, numbness in the hands and feet, foamy urine, carpal tunnel syndrome, bruising around the eyes, and enlarged tongue. And whereas early diagnosis can lead to better outcomes for both patients and their families. Whereas raising awareness about all amyloidosis diseases, including hereditary and non-hereditary forms of the disease, can contribute to the building of healthier communities across Canada. Therefore, I do hereby proclaim the month of March 2025 to be Amyloidosis Awareness Month in the town of Grand Falls-Windsor. I didn't ask, I just assumed, but we didn't have a representative here for Amyloidosis Month, did we? I didn't think so. Okay, just to make sure we didn't miss anybody. Let's give those to you. Next up is Heritage Day Week Proclamation 2025. Whereas the third Monday in February is recognized nationally as our Heritage Day, and whereas Heritage Day and Heritage Week are a time to reflect on the achievements of past generations and to accept responsibility for protecting our heritage. And whereas our children should be encouraged to celebrate Newfoundland and Labrador's uniqueness and to rejoice in our heritage. And whereas in 2025, the residents of Newfoundland and Labrador will celebrate our rich and diverse heritage. Therefore, I, Barry Manuel, on behalf of the town, do hereby proclaim Monday, February 17th as Heritage Day and February 17th to the 23rd as Heritage Week, and call upon all citizens to celebrate the richness of our past and the promise of our future. And thank all our locals, and I know some are here for another purpose, but are also very active in the Heritage Society, either now or previously, so thanks for your contributions. We do have a great Heritage Society in our town that makes sure that these goals are met. Okay, next up, we've got International Women's Day, and I do believe we've got some guests here to help with that proclamation. We'll get you to come on up front. Hi, Peggy.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
Good to see
So
you.
far, so good.
Yeah, good. You had a nice night for a while. Okay, how can?
Be careful. Someone
Nice
might
double
fall.
time. Good.
Be careful. Someone
Come on in. Hi, Joan. Gee, I haven't seen you for a while.
What do you want? Oh, remove the flag.
Oh, bunch of rowdies, huh? Flag down. Do we need to move over a bit?
Yeah, I think everybody can get in there pretty good, eh, Robin? Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, officially, I'd like to welcome you all here this evening. For a lot of you, it's not your first time here in the council chambers for different kinds of proclamations and activities, and a lot of people here representing the status of women here tonight for International Women's Occasion is they're also involved in a lot of other things, and that's not uncommon to see. But here tonight for status of women to help us with the proclamation. So if anybody, a spokesperson or anybody would like to have a word about this event, now
Well,
would be the time.
March 8th is International Women's Day and is recognized internationally. It's part of the women's movement. We think women have arrived sometimes when we are all equal. However, we are not. And it is always a struggle to look at the challenges and the achievements that women have made to date. This day recognizes gender equity, gender inclusion, gender equality is probably, equity is probably a better word today. We also recognize the violence that goes ahead with abuse as well towards women, domestic abuse. There's just so many challenges that we in society recognize that we need to address and overcome. And I think this is a perfect day once a year just to recognize that, to take a moment and to think of what it actually means and how it impacts probably each and every one of us in some way, either in the workplace or at home or wherever. And it's not just for us, it's for our children, our grandchildren, for the men who help us celebrate and also protect us and help us, not necessarily protect us, but help us in our journey. So we thank you for the time and we thank you for doing the proclamation tonight.
Thank you. Very well said, Peggy, and thanks to the Status of Women and all of you for the great work that you do in town. And I guess we could say that if there's anybody, a young lady, or you know of anybody who may need some support, the Status of Women is always a great place to go. And I know Jackie and Kim are here, and you guys, your office is located, Jackie?
5B Bailey.
5B Bailey Street. So if anybody wanted to visit the Status of Women, these folks would be more than happy to hear from you and to help you out, I'm sure.
And we have a very active Facebook site, and we have, our numbers are posted there to be reached. Normally, we would not be a 24/7, but however, sometimes our executive director takes it upon herself to make sure it's a 24/7 service. And if there's any way that, as a center, that we can help anyone, if it's male, female, family, we're there for them. So reach out to us.
Absolutely.
And actually, it's reaching out to Jackie and Kim, because we're merely the board members that you see here. And Nancy. Nancy's not with us, and Nancy was added this year as a counselor. And I have to say, an invaluable addition to the team
Good.
that we've needed through the support of the government.
Excellent. Good
Yep.
to hear.
Yep.
Well, thanks again, and I'm going to ask you folks to stick around now while we read the proclamation, and I know Robin is going to want to get another photo. So did you want to do that first, Robin? Or-
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Okay. Proclamation is for International Women's Day, which is March 8th, 2025. Whereas International Women's Day is celebrated around the world by those who believe in gender equity and who seek to improve lives of all women, girls, and gender diverse peoples through cultural, political, economical, and social change. We proclaim this day, March 8th, to celebrate and encourage bold actions that support our 2025 theme of Accelerate Action. Whereas imagine a gender-equal world, a free world from bias, stereotypes, and discrimination, a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive, a world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge women's equality. Whereas International Women's Day is a time to envision a world where all women, girls, and gender-diverse peoples can exercise their choices, such as participating in politics, getting an education, having an income, and living in societies free from violence and discrimination. Therefore, I hereby proclaim, on behalf of the town of Grand Falls-Windsor, that March 8th, 2025 is International Women's Day. And seems like a little bit thicker stock there. I'll give this one to you guys.
We were all gonna say yay when you finished, but nobody joined me, so.
Try to play a trick on your jacket.
Well, we would like to say that we thank the town for its support, because the town has always been there whenever we're doing a function or carrying out something. But more importantly, we want to thank the residents, because we get tremendous support from groups, community groups, be it the food bank, the Salvation Army, you know, the churches. Reverend Kim is not here tonight. She's also a member of our group, of our board. But really the general public, whenever we reach out for something or know that we need something, we get
We get a tremendous amount of community support.
tremendous. And we would not be able to name everyone or every group here tonight. It's
It's
just,
the individuals as well as groups
Yeah.
and organizations.
yeah.
Well, it
So-
takes a village, right, they say, and
And
it's
we've got a
great.
great village, so.
Well, this is
Yeah.
what, you know, I always, you know, proud about our community for a lot of things, but one thing is because we got so many people that do step up and
Yeah.
help the different causes, you know, and we see it time and time again. I've been here now 50-some years, and I've seen it since I've been born, with the people of Grand Falls-Windsor who are so generous with their time,
Absolutely.
like you folks, and such a good cause, you know, and the status of women and violence prevention and, you know, the other like groups in town, they're so important, because we know, you know, not everybody sees, as you know, all you know, what may be going on, you know, and it's a difficult thing, I'm sure, sometimes, but a invaluable support to have the status of women
It is.
here, and thanks on behalf of council and the community.
Well, we certainly appreciate all the support that we get, and the individuals as well as the groups are just phenomenal, and people are always coming to our office, whether it's rolls of toilet paper, or a check, or money, whatever it is.
We'd rather have money.
Yeah.
Send the money. No, everything is really appreciated.
No, okay, well, thanks again for coming down, and we are here to help you out whenever you need, just call on
We
us.
certainly do.
Yeah, I know you do,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your evening now. Yeah, one thing we always see is a lot of familiar faces with community-led efforts and things that are needed and difficult to have a lot of people to do. Capacity is always an issue, so it's nice to hear that they've got a new counselor hired from government support. It's always necessary, and we do have these folks now. We're going to give them a minute as well to get their coats and hats and scarves and mitts and go out and enjoy a nice winter evening. Okay, we have one last proclamation before we get into our regular order of business. This one is for Black History Month, which is February 2025. Whereas Black History Month is a time to recognize and celebrate the rich cultural heritage, achievements, and contributions of Black people living in Canada, both past and present, who have helped to shape our community and our nation. And whereas the town of Grand Falls-Windsor values diversity, equity, and inclusion, and acknowledges the significant impact of Black people living in Canada in areas such as education, arts, business, and politics, as well as science and social justice. And whereas this month serves as any opportunity to reflect on the ongoing efforts towards equality and reaffirm our commitment to eliminating systematic racial barriers and promoting an inclusive society for all. And whereas the Town of Grand Falls, Windsor proudly supports initiatives that educate, engage, and inspire our residents to learn more about Black history and culture. Now, therefore, I, Barry Emanuel, Town of Grand Falls, Windsor, do hereby proclaim February 2025 as Black History Month in our town and encourage all residents to participate in activities and events that celebrate and honor the contributions of Black people living in Canada. Okay. Okay, so we will move on to the regular order of business. And first up, we have the adoption of the minutes from our last meeting. I'll look for a mover, Councillor Knoll, seconded by Councillor Hiscock. Any discussion on the previous meeting's minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, any business arising out of the minutes? No business arising. We will move on to Public Works and Development, Public Works Buildings and Facilities. Particularly, we have some resolutions to take care of, and Councillor Dwyer will take us through those. Councillor Dwyer, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council's decision is required on whether to approve the recommendation to award the engineering work for the Exploits Regional Water Treatment Plant backwash tank upgrades to CBCL Limited based on the detailed review of the sole RFP response. The project is being funded with the CCBF allocated through the Provincial Targeted Infrastructure Fund for water and wastewater initiatives. So I move that the Town of Grand Falls, Windsor approves awarding the engineering design work for the ERWTP backwash tank upgrades to CBCL Limited for $62,692.57, HST rebate included.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion on the first resolution? Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a little bit of background information. This is a project that involves engineering design work to upgrade the backwash water tank and assess the backwash water pump. CBCL was the only qualified submission proposal, but it was excellent. In addition, costs were below anticipated engineering costs. CBCL certainly has an excellent reputation for design work and for successful projects of this nature, and so we recommend that it be approved.
Yep, well, thank you. Well explained. Any other comments or debate on that first resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Okay, next up we have a second resolution for Councillor Dwyer. When you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council's decision is required on whether to approve awarding the Exploits Regional Water Treatment Plant filter upgrade engineering contract to CBCL Limited based on a detailed review of, again, the single RFP response received. This project is also being funded with the CCBF allocated through the Provincial Targeted Infrastructure Fund for water and wastewater initiatives. That's the Canada Community Building Fund, which means our portion is zero, which is always wonderful. So I move that the Town of Grand Falls, Windsor approves awarding the engineering design work for the ERWTP filter upgrades to CBCL Limited for a total cost of $96,777.41, HST rebate included.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Deputy Mayor Brown. And any discussion on the second resolution? Councillor Dwyer?
Just to say that, again, this was the, this project involves the design of a new under drain system, a filter bed, air scour backwash troughs, backwash pumps, PLC upgrades, and sludge transfer assessment. Again, while CBCL was the only submission, they had an excellent proposal. Costs were below anticipated engineering costs, And this project will provide tender-ready projects to complete this vital work to improve the water treatment filters and backwash process. And in terms of overall funding for this project is actually close to $3 million, $2,916,524. So the engineering fees for this project are about 3.4% of the cost of the project.
Yeah, 3.4% is actually pretty good, I would think, for engineering costs, and I don't know, them engineers are pretty expensive, but we do have that resolution put to the floor, so we got any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Resolution passed. Okay, Councillor Dwyer, you're up again when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mayor. A decision is required whether council will support the recommendation to award the Exploits Regional Water Treatment Plant inspection and mapping of the regional water mains work to Pure Technologies Limited based on the detailed review of, again, the only RFP response received. This project is also being funded with the Canada Community Building Fund and allocated through the Provincial Targeted Infrastructure Fund for Water and Wastewater Initiatives. So I move that the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor approves awarding the inspection and mapping of regional water mains project for the ERWTP to Pure Technologies Limited for a cost of $1,138,122.39, HST rebate included.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion on the third resolution? Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Pure Technologies was the only submission for this RFP, but they had an excellent proposal. Costs were almost 15% below the anticipated inspection costs. And overall funding is, like I said, almost 15%, the total cost of this project. And our cost is zero because it comes under the Canada Community Building Fund. So that's excellent. And again, speaks to the work that our engineering department does to have projects like this ready for when funding becomes available. And so everyone in the region benefits from that work. Thank you to them.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, you can't overstate the importance of having those projects engineered ready because often government comes out with programs very quickly and swiftly and asks that projects be shovel ready. So in this case, we have several that will be, and very important projects. You know, these are projects, you look at the mapping of our water lines, which stretch all the way to Northern Arm, through Botwood and Peterview and Bishop's Falls as well. And as it says there in the information and what Councillor Dwyer had to say, it will allow council to have better information when it comes to making decisions about what area to address next, where there may be leaks or faults in the line. And a lot of this technology now is available that allows companies to be able to do this work much more effectively. And we look forward to the results, because when it comes to asset management and being able to see where our money should go, I've said it a million times, you know, we will never have enough money to be able to address everything, unfortunately, that needs to be addressed. But this is something that will, again, help set some priorities for council and with good data to back up the decisions. Any other discussion on the inspection and mapping engineering? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Resolution passed. Okay, Councillor Dwyer, you're up one last time. Orthophosphate.
Thank you, Mayor. Council approval is required to award the Exploits Regional Water Treatment Plant orthophosphate dosing system installation contract to Rodco Mechanical Limited based on tender results received and reviewed by CBCL Limited. The project will be funded through the CCBF allocated via the Provincial Targeted Infrastructure Fund for Water and Wastewater Initiatives. So I move that the town of Grand Falls-Windsor approves the award of the orthophosphate dosing system installation at the ERWTP to Rodco Mechanical 2014 Limited for $382,416.76, HST rebate included, using funds from the CCBF under Project 99-2024-8387.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Dwyer, second by Councillor Little. Any discussion on that resolution? Councillor Dwyer.
Thanks, Mayor. Obviously, this is a very important project, one that we are very hopeful will resolve many of the issues that we have with our discolored water in town. And this project actually involves installing a new orthophosphate dosing system in the existing storage room at our water treatment plant. And Rodco Mechanical Limited submitted the lowest bid. It was reviewed and confirmed by CBCL Limited, which is the hired consultant for the project. And again, we're hoping that it will enhance corrosion control for our pipelines in the communities in the exploits region by significantly reducing customer complaints about red water, discolored water, and certainly been an issue for us and many residents in the area. In addition to reducing the red water, we hope, and it's anticipated, that using the orthophosphate system will generate approximately $99,000 in annual chemical cost savings because of reduced water consumption. And right now we're spilling a lot of water trying to keep the water clear, and so hopefully this will reduce that cost as well.
Yeah. No, it's another example of some newer technology, in this case chemical, that can help with the maintenance of the water lines. And essentially, as most people know, we're dealing with aging infrastructure pretty much all over town, and it's frustrating, we understand, for the citizens and council, quite frankly, for the last few years have been all over our staff to make sure that we are doing everything in our power to address these issues, which often are difficult issues to solve. And as we've said many times, sometimes you solve one resident's issue and create an issue for someone else. And from that standpoint, it's been difficult, but there has been some really positive improvements. We had the consultants from Mr. All North, we had, yeah, who did a lot of work on evaluating our system and being able to suggest where we need more flushing valves and maybe where we don't need them. And this orthophosphate dosing system is an opportunity to have a regular maintenance, and over time, it'll take at least 6 months, I think, maybe to see any difference. But the expectation is that you will see a positive difference, and going forward, it would be a regular maintenance tool for the town, which would keep the water clearer, and as Councillor Dwyer said, you'd be required to spill less water to keep water clear for our residents, which equates to savings in cost. And $100,000 a year just in chemicals alone is a large number and something that we look forward to being able to attain. Any other comments or discussion on that resolution? Councillor Knoll.
I'd just like to take a second. A couple weeks ago, we had a Regional Water Services Board meeting, and everybody in attendance was kind of floored with the fabulous news of these projects. And it was a couple weeks ago as well. I had been stopped by a resident in town, and the resident inquired why we have so many staff and yada yada. And I knew where they were going with the discussion, but I spoke to that person again and used this as an example of the diligence, the engineering staff, the homework done, the days on task, and the work done behind the scenes, so that when these opportunities arose, such as in this case, we were there. I mean, we had shovel-ready projects to go, and then I countered this person's argument with 7.6 million reasons why we have the staff that we have. So accolades to the engineering department for the work done behind the scenes. Thanks.
Great work, and obviously you wouldn't expect people to appreciate, I guess, all the work that goes behind the scenes, all these projects that government sponsors. There is an enormous amount of tedious work involved in applications, in reporting requirements, and our staff, which is not that large if you want to compare to other municipalities, is doing yeoman's work, really, in being able to get these projects ready. And we'd certainly be willing to share more information and show people what the engineering department has to do with these projects. If anybody's interested, we would be happy to take them and show them a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes. Councillor Knoll. Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, we got a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Resolution passed. Next, we'll move into Public Works and Development, Planning and Development, which is Councillor Hiscock's area, and we do have two resolutions to take care of there. So when you're ready, Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. Decision on the acquisition of 0.614 hectares of Crown land under application number 139083 to extend commercial lots along Hardy Avenue and Maloney Street. And I propose that council approves the purchase of 0.614 hectares of Crown land as per application number 139083 for the purpose of extending commercial lots along Hardy Avenue and Maloney Street at a cost of $50,800 plus HST.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion on the first resolution under that departmental area?
Yes.
Councillor Hiscock.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the Crown land under application number 139083 consists of, like we said, 0.614 hectares of land. That's backland, Mr. Mayor, on Hardy Avenue and Maloney Street. And we've had notification from some of the business in that area that they would like to extend their backlots on their premises. So what we're doing, Mr. Mayor, we're getting ahead of the game and acquiring that land so we can sell it to those individual businesses when it's required.
Yeah, and in doing so, we would expect to fully recoup our costs as well, and maybe even, you know, turn a profit, I guess, in selling that land. But it is all in the name of increased expansion of development in that area. Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Resolution passed. Okay, the next one with regards to the Millcrest land. Councillor Hiscock, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The decision, council requested to provide approval in principle for the discretionary use of a medical clinic within the public use zone at the former Millcrest Academy site. Additionally, approval is sought to consider rezoning the residential area if required and to proceed with residential development on Lind Avenue as part of the project. The approval in principle is not final approval, as it will need to go through the discretionary use process for public feedback and come back to council for a final decision in a future meeting. Therefore, I propose that council grants approval in principle for the discretionary use of a medical clinic within the public use zone of the former Millcrest Academy site and agrees to consider a future rezoning of the residential area if necessary. Council also supports the proposed residential development along Lind Avenue as part of the project.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion on that? Do you want to further explain, Councillor Hiscock?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The former Millcrest Academy site was originally zoned public use and has since been partially rezoned on the St. Catherine Street side to residential for an apartment redevelopment. The property owner is now looking to bid on a provincial government tender for a medical clinic at the site. Under existing zoning regulations, a medical clinic is discretionary in the public use zone and requires council approval in principle to proceed. The gymnasium in the area will remain public use, while the parking lot may require rezoning depending on final site requirements. The owner is also proposing additional residential units along Lind Avenue, maintaining a mix of healthcare and residential development on the site, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, and that's to do with the family care team that,
Yeah.
you know, we've been talking about and government's been talking about for quite some time, and our health coalition has been head and shoulders involved in that, as well as council, with regards to lobbying government and making sure, A, that we have the necessary space for this family care team to be able to carry out the work that's necessary to best serve the patients in the region. And, you know, we do have some older buildings in town. There was some talks about perhaps going to those, but we felt really strongly that a new build is the way to go, because there are huge needs in this center. It is all about cooperating with social workers and physiotherapists and nurses and doctors, and all under the one roof, so that efficiencies can be found when it comes to providing care to residents in the region. And that could mean you may have a return appointment, and instead of having to see your family physician again, or the physician on the care team, you may be referred directly to the physiotherapist on site, and you would require extra space, of course, for that physiotherapy area, and likewise. So, you know, this is a piece of property, as it stated, was rezoned for some residential development in front. And as a result of this new development, which is the government putting out an RFP looking for people to bid on a new build for a family care team, this is where this originates from. It also, I think, is a good opportunity to also speak to quickly the idea of council's approval in principle. And we talk about this a lot in council when it comes to resolutions, and particularly when it comes to rezoning requests. In this case, and there's many different scenarios, but in this case, we have a business person who's interested in bidding on this family care team project. They own the property. That's the use they want. They also want residential development. Council is saying we agree in principle with proceeding with the first stage, which is putting in the rezoning request. There is a lot of processes that have to happen before any building is built there or any repurpose is solved in terms of decisions. And what sometimes gets mistaken in the public, and it leads to a lot of unnecessary confusion, and just to try to clarify, you know, council, we still have the ability to put this out to the public. There will be consultations. There will be means for people to be able to put in their objections or their support if they wish. This is not, when you read this, a lot of people think, oh, Millcrest is going to be a family care team clinic and there's residential development going on Lind Avenue. No. Maybe. All this is starting the legislative process to move to the next step in rezoning. You know, there are many examples of this, of course. When we talk about the rezoning going on, the first steps all over town, we've identified land that maybe could be used for development. But there's a process to follow in order to see whether it becomes what it becomes. And sometimes there's a idea already hatched, and sometimes maybe there's not. So there's other cases where we will put out, you know, rezone an area of land for housing, and we would, once the rezoning is done, put it out to the community and the businesses everywhere and developers for proposals of what they would like to do with this. So then they would come to council with a proposal saying, I want to build this many lots here, this fits the zoning, you know, I want to have duplexes, I want to have single-family homes, whatever the case may be. At that time, council will have a decision whether we want to move forward again, and there would be consultation, and the community has an opportunity to come out to a public meeting and talk about the issue. But often, we're finding that people are equating the first step in the legislative process in the rezoning as a done deal. And it's not the case, and it's important because it does lead to a lot of unnecessary stress on people, you know. We have areas of land that it's possible that development could take place. We're in desperate need of housing, we know that, and we're addressing that. But just because we start a rezoning of a particular area doesn't mean that houses are going up there next week, or even that they may at all. And if you do have concerns, you will have an opportunity to voice them. And I know, I hope I didn't confuse people more. Sometimes it's certainly frustrating on our part sometimes, because it is convoluted when it comes to these processes and how the rezoning particularly gets from point A to point B to point C and so on. But, you know, it is important to note that the community does get an opportunity to speak, and there's no final thing. Did you have something, Mr. Cielo?
Mr. Mayor, in this, in this particular instance, the approval in principle, for sake of the public's understanding, allows the proponent to just put a bid in the government. And if they're successful in their bid, then, you know, council will have to go through a discretionary process and the decision will follow later. So they're under a time constraint to get an approval in principle now. Otherwise, council could generally wait. So in order to accommodate that party, you give, you know, they're seeking approval in principle, and they can submit their bid, and if they're not successful, it probably all goes away and they pursue another plan of maybe all residential development or whatever. You know, they have to explore all their options. But they'll cross those bridges after they get the feedback on the tender, right?
Yeah, no, good point. I'm glad you mentioned that.
And just one other point with respect to the approval in principle on residential development. Because council, as you explained, council does give approval in principle in those areas, because if it enables staff to act. Because if staff are not indicated from council whether or not a development could be considered in one area versus another, how do staff move forward? So council got to prime the pump, we'll say, to get us looking at areas. And even though, so that allows us to, at least we know we have initial support, but we recognize that we will go through a zoning process. Where public will be able to provide feedback and raise concerns, or maybe they're in favor of it, and council can consider that and finally make your decision later on. So approval in principle is pretty important in all these instances.
Yep, no, well said.
Yeah.
And, you know, we are, as we said, in desperate need of housing. There's a crisis all across, and we've been doing lots. If anybody has been following along, they know there's regulations changes, there's changes that make it easier for the individual resident to make changes to their home to allow extra units or granny flats, or, you know, subsidies involved, and subsidies for developers for larger developers as well. And these are all geared towards more housing. And I'll finish with, you know, one thing that is clear to me in this role, and particularly since we put more emphasis on development, is that for most people, they're in favor of development and recognize the crisis, but there's an awful lot of people do not want it to happen next to them. And that's where council has some challenges, we'll say. We do need to be infilling, because that's what allows infrastructure to be put in place, connected to the larger infrastructure, costing less, which in turn gives developers an opportunity to make some money. And if developers don't have an opportunity to make money because the project is too costly, they're not going to develop. And the town are not developers. We rely on developers. So, you know, it's interesting, and I get it. You know, no one wants changes near their home that may make things different, traffic flow, look aesthetically, whatever, someone behind them when there wasn't before. But that's how the town and all towns grow, is by that nature. So we appreciate and understand, and we look forward to talking to a lot of people in these different areas, because I know there's a lot of interest in speaking about their concerns in particular areas, and we'll take all that into consideration, but ultimately, council has to make the best decision for the whole of the town. And sometimes the best decision for the whole of the town is not the best decision for citizen A who doesn't want someone living behind them, as an example. Councillor Dwyer, did you have something?
I was just wondering if we knew when the closing date was for tenders on that family care team building.
Soon. Oh, okay. Okay, extend it for 2 weeks. So, you know, we may get a number of proposals that are put forward to government for family care teams in other areas of town. So this is not a family care team that's going in Millcrest. This is, just as the CAO said, something that is necessary to do in order for someone to put a bid in the first place. All right. Good thing I wasn't going to have much to say on that. All right, any other discussion on that? Okay. We did have a vote on that one already, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, we move on now to corporate services, finance, administration, and policy, and that is under Councillor Cody. 2 resolutions. Councillor Cody, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The first resolution is that council approve the changes made to the councillor code of conduct policy as per the direction of the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Hiscock. Any discussion on that resolution?
I'll just say a few words, Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor Cody.
So this amendment, I guess, or changes to the councillor code of conduct policy is to ensure a streamlined and efficient process for handling code of conduct complaints made against councillors. The policy is attached. It outlines step by step, what would happen in case of a code of conduct a violation or a code of conduct accusation. It takes us through step by step. It highlights the process for councillors on what they would have to do, how they would present themselves, and basically just allows us to have a streamlined process to go through that. The code of conduct legislation is fairly new. It's been a bumpy road. Its intent was to help us around the table and to, I guess, help us manage behaviors, show us the right way to behave, and just work together better as a team. In some cases, it's being used as a tool against councillors to harm or hurt or cause distress, which is not the case. It does take time to go through the code of conduct process if an accusation is made. It's time on staff, it's time on council, it's time on the individuals as well. So it's important to have this policy in place so that we're all familiar with, what we need to do if an instance arises. There's some protections in place as well to make sure that it's not used, just as something to take up time or cause distress to an individual. So I encourage everyone to be familiar with the policy. I did want to make a note to the director on 4.5.3, there's a typo in the first word there. So if we could just get that corrected before we print it off and put it in the manual. Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, it's something that we take very seriously as well, as always, but it also gives the CAO, who is responsible for the first point of intake, to know how to deal with the particular code of conduct, because it could be in a different category, if you will, and then it would move forward through the system. So it's some good changes there, and it's all outlined very clearly. Any other comments on that first resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Okay, Counselor Cody, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. The next decision we need to make tonight is a resolution that council authorize staff to purchase 3.9 acres of commercial land on Cohen Place for $1,185,000 plus HST.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Cody, seconded by Counselor Knoll. Any discussion on that one? Counselor Cody?
Thank you. I don't know if anyone else had any comments first, but.
Yeah, we usually let, as people may have noticed, we
Close
usually
it
let
again.
the person who's making a resolution speak first.
So this is basically to purchase land on Cohen Place. As we have been talking with and courting with a major retailer who is talking about coming into our community, we want to shore up some land to make sure land is available when they do make that decision. The new Local Towns and Service District Act does allow council to purchase land without permission from the provincial government with a 2/3 vote of council. So I think that's very important that we make that clear tonight. That is a new change in the new act that municipalities right across the province have been asking for, because it gives us a little bit more freedom and ability to be able to do the things that we need to do to attract businesses and residents to our communities. So staff were able to negotiate the price of the land down from what the asking price was. I don't know why I'm losing my voice all of a sudden. Must be all the shoveling I've been doing the last couple of days. But anyway, so the regular price of the land was $375,000 an acre, and we have committed to $300,000 an acre because we are purchasing the 3.95 acres all in one shot. So that money will be borrowed, but we will recoup that once that land gets sold. We're confident that that land will sell, but it's important for us to have control of that land to make sure that we have land available for businesses when they express interest in coming to the community, because we don't want a business to not be able to come because they can't find a piece of land that's appropriate for the type of business that they want to conduct here.
No, absolutely. And, you know, we have been talking with a lot of different retailers, bigger retailers and bigger restaurant chains and that sort of thing, and trying to court their interest in Grand Falls-Windsor. And this particular area of land, for those who may not know, Cohen Place is the land that is adjacent to the Canadian Tire, the new Canadian Tire. So by owning and controlling that 4 acres of prime commercial property with highway visibility into the Cromer Avenue street, which 70% of people, I believe, who enter Grand Falls-Windsor come through that exchange. So that particular piece of land is not one that you're going to see available pretty much anywhere in town, not at this point, unless in the future you see development maybe off of Scott Avenue or something like that, you might. But that is what retailers look for. And we really want to make sure that we're giving our community the best chances to have these retailers and restaurants and this like to come to Grand Falls-Windsor. And this was a necessary step, we felt, because it's something that will allow us to ensure that we can control that and resell it, obviously, to recoup our costs and hopefully make a profit again. But it's something that's very important. It is a prime, probably the most prime area available right now in Grand Falls-Windsor is next to that Canadian Tire, as a lot of people have already theoretically talked about, I'm sure. I wish this was here, I wish that was there, and I'm one of them. So anyhow, that's what that is all about, and I'll ask if anybody else has any comments that they'd like to make on that. Okay. We have a mover and a seconder, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, we will now move into other business. I'm not sure who's up first tonight. Does anybody know? Counselor Knoll. Counselor Cody says you're up first.
I believe so.
That makes her last. I don't know if
Good to go.
there's strategy in that or not.
I've got a new desk pad, and usually I mark it down who was there, but, and I didn't last week, but thank you, Mayor. Only a short little note for me this evening. Coming up again, March 8th seems to be a busy day coming up in the future, and March 8th is the Nolan Smith Memorial Ride for people on snowmobile. And, you know, if you want to reach out to Gord via Facebook and get involved with their ride, they do make some significant contributions to the high school down there via grants, et cetera. So it's a really good purpose, and I encourage people to get involved. And other than that, as Councillor Cody had mentioned, she's been shoveling, and I encourage everybody to enjoy the snow because we don't know how long we're going to have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Knoll. Counselor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. When we had the scouts and the guides and that here earlier, I remembered my grandmother King telling me many years ago that she received a gold cord, which was presented to her by Lady Baden-Powell years ago. So just a little bit of trivia, but it was nice for sure. This past Thursday, the town, in conjunction with, of course, our community services department, Mr. Todd Mercer and his staff, hosted a seniors event at St. Albans Church in Masters Avenue. Well attended, went off excellently, and once again, thanks to Angela Daw, Rhonda Drake, Michael Lewis, and Luke McDonald. What a great job. It was just fabulous, and we tell people, keep watching. There's more and more events coming up, and you know, the town are very, very pleased and honored to host these events. Also, Mr. Mayor, if I may, this morning, myself and the deputy mayor attended a little thing at the United Church. And there's a group in town that I didn't know was called So-and-So. It was a group of ladies get together every Tuesday for these crafts, and they do, you know, different things, quilting, sewing things. What?
We have supported them in the past, with a crafts grant.
It would just slipped my mind for a second, but anyhow, but they just did, I think it was over 75 pillows for the surgical unit at the hospital, and which they're presenting, I think tomorrow or next day, 2 of them. But a great group of individuals, and we were there, I guess, probably for an hour and having a chat with people. It was just so wonderful, just, you know, for our community and this group to come out and do what they're doing. Also, Mr. Mayor, it's a little sad note. This past week, through a tragic chain of events, we lost one of our seniors. She was in her home by herself, and she died. And I would like to ask our town that if there's a senior close by you, someone's probably shot in or not well, check on them every now and then. Just make sure that they're okay. If you don't see them probably in a couple of days, or have some contact information of a daughter who may not be living in our town, but say, you know, I haven't seen Mom, I haven't seen Dad in a couple of days. Are they okay? You know, just do this wellness check, right? And if nothing else, do it in honor of Minda. You know, just do it. Get out there and see your neighbors and whatever the case may be. And hopefully this tragic event never, ever happens again in our town. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well said, sir. And, you know, there are seniors and others who may have some form of disabilities that live alone. And, you know, if you recognize one of those, as Councillor Hiscock says, in your area, be a good person and keep an eye on their activity. And if you don't see any, perhaps check in on them every once in a while. So it's good advice. Councillor Little.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Hiscock alluded to our community services. We have many events coming up. Salmon Festival is planned, I guess, or it's just about planned. Our director, Todd Mercer, has been working on that with his staff very hard, and there's going to be a lot of exciting things to come. So follow our Facebook page and our website for events that are going on in our town. We do at least one seniors event every month, and many other events going on. Like this upcoming weekend, we do have the Cataracts back in town for continuation of their playoffs. They're tied in the series 1-1 with the Deer Lake Red Wings, so I'm sure the stadium will be packed for that. Apparently last Friday night they beat Deer Lake in overtime. Cody drove with the overtime winner, town employee. And Jason Stone, another town employee, apparently played phenomenal in net for for those cataracts. So hopefully those two can keep going this weekend and get some wins for our community. Thank you.
Yeah, Jason Stone was the goaltender for the Cataracts 20 years ago. Sorry, Jason. But all the more credit to him for playing so well at this level of hockey. We do give him all the best this weekend for sure. Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. The Healthcare Coalition met this past Thursday, and we had an update from Mental Health Services Central Zone regarding the family care team. Craig Davis, Tracy Fass, and Raul, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce Raul's last name, were in attendance, so it was very good and nice of them to attend. We also had someone from recruitment, and speaking about physician recruitment and nurses recruitment and healthcare professionals and that sort of thing, we brought up a couple of concerns. One being, Stan Singh and I attended a community engagement session regarding healthcare professionals and recruitment, and one of the presenters were talking about how many nurses they have recruited internationally. They have 400 contracts signed, and my question was, and I asked it to them, what about our nursing students here in Grand Falls-Windsor? And, you know, like we have third-year nursing students now going through our program here in Gander and in Happy Valley Goose Bay. They put these satellite sites here with the intention of having these nursing students stay home and in rural communities, and they haven't been offered positions. It is not acceptable. And so I voiced that concern. So I think it's our responsibility to stay on that. I know healthcare is not our responsibility, but it's certainly a concern of our citizens, and we got to do everything that we can to make sure that the government and NL Health Services is playing their part. There needs to be more collaboration, and our healthcare coalition has done a great job keeping up to date on what is going on, and ensuring that those important things like the family care team, that sort of thing, that people know that we are noticing what's going on, and so that's good. Cyril Farrell, I informed council, but I haven't told the public. So Cyril Farrell has been named to our regional healthcare board, so congratulations to Cyril. And when it comes time that he finds himself in a conflict of interest or is not able to fulfill the role of chair on our health coalition, it will be a tremendous loss, because he's doing a wonderful job, and certainly appreciate everything that he's done for our coalition. We have an outstanding number of teachers in our community, and last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I'd just like to thank them and administrators for everything, even the retired teachers, for everything that they do and have done for our students here. Exploit Search and Rescue, they highlight some of their members who have been with their group for a number of years, and I was noticing that Alan Miller has been with that organization for 25 years, so that's incredible. Thanks, Alan. I didn't know he was that old. He's younger than I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Dwyer. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And just as a follow-up to Councillor Dwyer's comments with respect to nurses and trying to retain our own nurses, it was good to see Dr. Pat Parfrey make an announcement that we were going to try to cut the travel nurses by 48% in the coming weeks, and that would allow our own nurses to be hired as well. There's a story on it on CBC. So that's encouraging, and it's nice to have the travel nurses, but we should take care of our own first. The Mayor read the proclamation for Heritage Week and noted that our Heritage Centre is alive, and certainly something to see. For anybody who hasn't been down to our own Heritage Centre, go down and have a look. It's worth your while. It's very well done, and kudos to all those who were involved in the Heritage and on the Board of Directors under President Alison Miller. So Alison, keep up the good work, you and your committee, and I encourage everybody in Grand Falls, Windsor and the surrounding areas to visit our Heritage Centre as soon as they get the opportunity. Also, this weekend, I encourage everybody to visit our curling club. Our curling club now is run completely by volunteers, but there's the 50th anniversary of the Ladies Caribou Spiel. It's happening at the curling club this Friday and Saturday. So I encourage everybody to drop out and have a hamburger and a refreshment and support our local curling club, because they can certainly use it at this point in time. That's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I just got a few things there. Oh, I did it again. Councillor Cody, my apologies.
I'm gonna make you pay for it now. I got a full page of notes.
Councillor Knoll told me to do that.
I wasn't gonna let you get away with it, don't worry. It's gonna make you sweat a bit first. So first off, I just wanted to acknowledge Councillor Dwyer forgets that she is also a teacher, although in the post-secondary world, but certainly all our post-secondary instructors as well. A big thanks to them for helping get our kids out of the house and onto other things in lives, as much as we love having them home and things like that. With Reading Week coming up, I'm looking forward to having mine home, but I'm also looking forward to having them go back to school as well. So thanks to all teachers for all the work that they do, regardless of what level or institution that they teach at. And speaking of schools, Exploits Valley High School presents We Will Rock You on the Gordon Pinson Center for the Arts on February the 28th at 7:30, March 1st at 7:30, and March 2nd at 2:30. Tickets are selling very, very well. There's limited selection left, but there are still seats left. So I would encourage you to, if you do want to go, please get your tickets soon. Don't miss out. We always hear after the fact, like, what a fabulous show this school does. I know the amount of work that is going on behind the scenes. My daughter's actually involved this year, so I know the number of rehearsals that are happening and all of the extra practice that's going on and all of the crews working to do the sets and things like that. So it's going to be an amazing production. So I encourage everyone, if you do want to go, make sure you get your tickets and don't miss out. I wanted to comment on just 3 of the proclamations that we had here tonight with regards to International Women's Day, Black History Month, and Scout and Guide Week. We've been hearing so much things going on in the world lately with in relation to what's going on in the United States with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and all those policies being pulled out, and encouraging people to not worry about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and basically do your own thing, and corporations buying into that. And so it's very refreshing and hopeful to me to see groups like this represented here tonight and represented in our community, to make sure that we are a diverse community, we are inclusive, that we appreciate having all types of people in our community, because they all bring so much value to our community. And if we didn't have inclusivity and we didn't have gender diverse individuals and different ethnicities and things like that in our community, we'd be pretty boring. Look at us around the table. Like, we're not very inclusive when you look at the faces here at this table. But I think that's why it's so important that we have groups like this in our community. Sorry, Rogers. I did it. I'm always telling Councillor Knoll about it, and I just bang the mic myself. But it's so important that these groups can come to us and talk to us, and we can try and implement some of the programming and some of the different things that they do and bring awareness to our community. So, I'm very thankful that we do have such committed groups in our community. And the nursing students, Councillor Dwyer circulated a survey on the Harmsworth Public Library that some of the nursing students are doing as a project. I don't think there's a deadline on the survey. I think it's still open. So I would encourage residents to look for that survey. I know Claire Dwyer was one of the nursing students who was sharing it. Councillor Dwyer shared it. I think I shared it on my Facebook page. But I would encourage residents to go and just fill out that survey. It's only a couple of minutes. And it's just bringing awareness to what the library has to offer. And I just wanted to say, I just pulled up their Facebook page, and I would also encourage residents to follow the Harmsworth Public Library Facebook page. They post their monthly calendar, and just for February alone, some of the activities were bedtime story hour, rug hooking, adult board games, tech help, knitting circle, sensory hours, babies and tots story time, Lego free play. Plus, they have wonderful, wonderful books, all genres, all age groups. They have puzzles, they have special events. They are offering disability tax credit drop-in sessions available for anybody who needs help with that type of service. Just this month again, they participated in Winterlude. They had activities for Black History Month, bringing awareness to Black History Month, and they also had Valentine's Day activities. And that's just February. Like, they're doing this all year long. So I would encourage you to support our library. We're very blessed to have a library in our community, and one that is so active and does so much. And they're always looking to do more. So like community groups, I know the Y2C visits them quite often. I think the schools in the area visit them quite a bit. They'll have authors come in and read their new books and a whole bunch of things. So I would definitely encourage our residents to make sure you use the library. And again, I wanted to promote their delivery service. If you can't get to the library, you can give them a call, let them know what type of books you're interested in, what genres you're interested in. They will select books for you, deliver them to your house, pick them up when you're done, and bring you a new set of books. No charge, all free. And it's just a wonderful service, and it also gets someone coming to your door as well. We talked about the community check-ins and checking on your neighbors and things like that. This is another way that you can be active in your community, and you know, people get used to your routine, and when they see changes in your routine, that's a trigger then that maybe something is off. We should probably do additional follow-up or whatnot. So, you know, it's just another way to stay involved in your community and to participate. And again, with the snow, I'm over shoveling. But it's winter, and it's Newfoundland and Labrador. But the last few days, the number of people who have spoken to me about slips and falls, a little bit of ice underneath that little brush of snow, and it's treacherous. So please be careful. Try not to be in a rush. Watch where you're walking, and just be cautious. And be careful, because it's, you know, a bump on the head, or, you know, bump an elbow or a knee, or twist an ankle or whatever, and, you know, then you're held up for the winter pretty much. So, you know, just be careful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. And my apologies again. As I was saying, I have a few things here. That's it. And, you know, just on Councillor Dwyer's point about having local nursing school. I mean, we lobbied for years to have a nursing school here in our community, a satellite school, since early in my time on council, just going back over 10 years. And to finally see a nursing satellite school here was a great bit of news. And now we see some 75 students approximately from first year, second year, and third year, and eventually will be turnover of regular students all the time in that program right here in our community. And it's really shocking to hear when you know that they haven't been talked to about job opportunities. When we're spending what we're spending on travel nurses and the critical shortage of nurses and sending people all over the world to try to bring nurses back here. And we've got people, locals, who are going to be graduating soon. Come on, like, well, we'll have to follow up on that one again. And Dr. Pat Parfrey, of course, is the new CEO for the Health Authority. And we reached out to him by letter, Cyril and I, and congratulated him on his appointment. And we have had meetings with Dr. Parfrey in the past, particularly when it came to the Health Accord. And we hope to be able to meet with him again in the future. We've got a good relationship with him, so getting our points across and doing what we can to support the Health Accord is certainly important. The town events was brought up there a couple of times. You know, the town always have events all year round. If you are a couple, or if you have a young child, or if you have a teenager and seniors, as Councillor Hiscock had said, check out our schedule. It's on Facebook page. Not all of us are on Facebook very often, and some not at all, but you may know someone who is on Facebook to ask to check, to see what the schedule is of upcoming events. Sometimes we got things planned like months in advance, so put them on your schedule and be able to participate in those. If you don't have access to that, then contact the Recreation Department, the Community Services Department, 0450-489. And they would be more than happy to help you out and give you all the information that you need on events, or if you have any ideas of programs and events and that the town may want to try. I remember Cyril Farrell came to us about 10 years ago about pickleball. Mr. Mercer will remember. And at the time, nobody really knew what pickleball was. And of course, we picked it up and tried to start a program with Cyril's help and through the department. And now we've got, what, 70, how many? 48 people playing pickleball. And it is the fastest growing sport in North America. And it is good, particularly for older folks, you know, because you use a wiffle ball and the movement on the court is not as demanding as quick pace as squash or tennis or badminton, that kind of thing. But a lot of fun, and we got room for more in that as well. So there's always an opportunity for us to try ideas. The Cataracts playing the weekend, as Councillor Little said. Yeah, there's 1-1 in the semifinals. We hope that see a big crowd there on Friday and Saturday night are the games, and go Cats go. And of course, there's another hockey game going to happen this week on Thursday night. We've got Canada and U.S. playing in the Four Nations Cup, which is quite the showdown, especially based on the game there over the weekend that everybody was wide-eyed when it started. And we'll get them back tonight, because he who gets to, or Thursday night, he gets the last laugh. They'll forget all about that loss the other night, so it's important. And, you know, speaking of Canada, and that's the reason why I brought it up, we know now a lot of, you know, geopolitical tension, I suppose, when it comes to the United States and with Canada, and the tariff talk and the, you know, the foolishness of talking about a 51st state. At least I think it's foolishness, but he doesn't seem to think so. And we're seeing Canadians all across the country come together, and this is when Canadians do just that, you know, and stand up and be proud of who we are. And one thing that we can do is support our own. And many, many people have been doing that everywhere, including here in Grand Falls-Windsor. So I'd encourage residents, you know, support Canadian. And there are different degrees to which a product can be Canadian. You know, there's made in Canada, which is about 50% Canadian from the time it's, you know, grown to processed and so on. A product of Canada is the best label, apparently. Product of Canada is over 90% Canadian. And then you got some stuff that's processed here, and then you got stuff that you may think that's Canadian, but it's not. So there are websites and that now. You can go out and get advice if you want to change your favorite breakfast cereal or your brand of whatever it is that you like to have regularly. I mean it. I mean, Canada is the biggest customer base for the U.S., and we can make quite a difference, and I think we do need to make a stand. I think everybody would agree with that. So I just wanted to encourage our residents on that. And lastly, on a sad note, we did lose, since our last council meeting, a teacher, a retired teacher. Mr. Ray Elward passed away. At least I don't believe we mentioned it last time. Maybe we did. But it was in January anyhow. The meetings are once a month now, so it's hard to keep track. But nonetheless, like, Ray Elward was a music teacher at St. Michael's for many years. A very well-respected individual, very good man, always pleasant and always even keel and there to help students, and did a lot for the music community. So wanted to pass along condolences to his wife and kids, and of course he'll be sorely missed. And with that, I don't have anything else, so I will call for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Dwyer. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion carried. We'll see you next time.